The purpose of this show is solely to provide information for you to make your own decisions on the subjects that are presented. Welcome to the Ben Armstrong Show, folks. Nuclear war is at the door. It's not a joke. It's not a bluff, as Putin would say. He's not bluffing, folks. And we are closer to nuclear war than ever in the history of mankind. Ever since nuclear weapons were really invented, nuclear, and I don't say it always properly, nuclear war, and I don't always pronounce it right. So all of you vocabulary police, I understand that I don't. I kind of don't care if I do or don't. I mean, I want to say it right, but it's not that big of a deal. Anyways, nuclear war is at the door, folks. This is not a joke. But I don't think anyone thinks it is. I think a lot of people know that this is the closest we've ever been, and yet it's the least panicked people have been, which is really amazing, which really tells me we're closer than people think in that aspect too. Because when we actually weren't as close to nuclear war in the past, people have freaked out thinking that we were a lot closer than we were. And now, when people freaked out about the Cuban Missile Crisis, this is way, way, way worse than the Cuban Missile Crisis. You have Russia actively saying that they're going to use nukes. You have motivation. You have us arming Ukrainians with our weapons that are killing Russians. And when Putin threatens the West, he's threatening America. This is something you really need to get into your head. It's not about NATO, it is about NATO, but it's not about striking the NATO countries in Europe. NATO is America. Without America, there is no NATO. And Putin understands that. If he was ever going to take action against Europe, he's not stupid. He knows what you really would do is take a surprise attack against America. Because if you're going to go to war, you might as well hit them as hard as you can, as fast as you can, especially when you can't do a kinetic war of outmatching us with troops and a dragged out war. Putin can't win that. He's not designed to win that. What is Putin's military designed to do? Completely surprise attack you with the fastest nuclear weapons that go Mach 9 and strike you and obliterate you before you even know what has happened. That's what he's designed for. So he's not designed to do a one-time strike, do something against a European nation, and then have America be ready and go to war. That's not what he's designed to do. He's designed for a surprise attack out of nowhere against the enemy that he thinks is the biggest threat to him. So logically, when Putin threatens to use nuclear weapons, he's threatening to use it directly on the mainland of the United States, and he's threatening to do it when you don't expect it. You need to know this. And I have been saying this way before Russia invaded Ukraine. When Russia was in, everyone was worried about China. And I said, folks, Russia is the one that's going to hit us with nuclear weapons, not China. And Iran's going to be with him and some others. And everyone was like, and I've been saying this before Russia and Iran were really even ever working together, folks, about America being hit by Russia and Iran. Now it's all in the news. So no one can think that I'm crazy. Here's Fox News giving you one of the latest developments of this threat of nuclear war.
Everybody, 6 a.m. here in New York City. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon in Moscow, and we start with the Fox News alert. Russian President Vladimir Putin now threatening to use nuclear weapons, and Putin says I'm not bluffing.
The saber-rattling comes as President Biden is heading now to the United Nations. That happens later today to address the General Assembly about the war in Ukraine.
Putin's humiliated already. What will he do? We can't tell, but we have Kevin Cork here to bring us up to date.
All right, you get the gist. And even with this going on, people still think, well, this could never happen. It could never happen. Yet I've been telling people this is going to happen at some point in time. I just don't know when. That's always been the problem. I know this will happen at some point in time. I am confident of that. And I know that not everyone agrees with me. That's fine. But I've been confident, so confident that I was warning people, knowing people think that I was crazy for saying Russia and Iran. Don't worry. China might come in later, but it's really going to be Russia and Iran. And I use biblical prophecy, which the show is not built on that either. But so I won't go into that, but that I'm just letting you know that's how I had predicted this stuff when people thought that's crazy. And really when I started, I could feel that we were getting close. I could feel it. So I started talking about it just really strongly to my audience right before I was not right, but like starting like 3 months before you really saw anything in the news about Russia and Ukraine. It was a few months before. And then just a few months later, after I really pounded it, boom, it hits the news. Because I can tell it's what I do for a living. I think a lot of people can sense it. You can sense it. You can feel it. You know. And it's part of God's judgment. That's another thing people need to understand. If this were to happen to America, it's being allowed by God. You must understand this. It doesn't mean that God wants millions of people to die. But when people turn their back on God and a nation says, we don't need God, and you didn't do any protection for us in our past history, God, we're not giving you any credit for anything that's happened in America. In fact, we're going to reject you, throw you out of your schools, and we're going to spit in your face. And then we're going to mock you with our sexuality, and we're going to mock what the Bible says and mock the people who follow you and mock who follow Jesus Christ. And we're going to make them our number one enemies in America. We're going to do all that. And then if a nuclear strike happens, we're going to say, how did this happen? What kind of God would allow a nuclear war to happen? No, it's not. It's God allowing it in the aspect that you told God, get away from me. God kept saying, I'm protecting you. I've been protecting you. I have put my hand on America. I have protected you this whole time. And he said, no, you haven't. Get your hand off us. We'd rather be on our own doing what we want without you. And God, it's not him having to do anything. He said, oh, okay. I've warned you and warned you. Don't tell me to remove my hand from you. And he has removed his hand. I think the election in 2020, the COVID-19 crap, all of that was evidence to you that God's hand is not on America. He's allowing all of our sinful stuff to be exposed, how corrupt our government is. And he's allowing that so that no one can say, why did God allow this? Do you get it? Do you understand why you know the vaccine is pure evil and that our pharmaceutical companies murdered millions of people around the world and America's the one who did it? Do you want to know why you know America murdered millions and millions of people all around the world through their pharmaceutical companies? And you know that happened. You want to know why you know that happened? Because God is letting you understand your destruction is coming, and I need you to see it's not unjustified. I could protect you. I could step in. I don't even have to cause this. You've said you want to be on your own. And all I have to do is step back and say, okay, you're on your own. And I think that's all God's doing. And we deserve to get smacked down. We deserve it. I'm not the only one that knows we are on the brink, whether it happens right now or not. I told people before we even hit September, I told people, I don't know if it was in July or August, but one of those, I said the danger zone is going to be from September through November. That is a massive danger zone. And I honestly think October is the most dangerous time. not November by the election, October, the most dangerous time. One of the reasons why I think that is because 70 years to rule. God likes to use that. And I was looking at New York. When did we become this globalist evil entity, especially New York? When the UN opened its doors and its headquarters. And that was 70 years ago. Not yet. 70 years ago on October 14th, 2022 will be the 70th anniversary of the UN opening its doors in America as its base of operation. And I think when we hit that 70-year mark, we have a whole year that I'm worried about, because that's the start of the 70th year. And you have that all the way until October of 2023 that I actually think is a massive danger zone. But the very beginning of that, I think, is a massive danger zone as well. So watch out in October. Doesn't mean, folks, I always think things will happen before they do. Let me tell you, I have a great track record. The things I say almost always happen. Almost. I'm a human being, but almost always. In a lot of things that people think that I'm crazy about. Like when I said Obama was going to beat Hillary in the primary, people don't even realize. Do you know that most people thought that was laughable? That Obama would even beat Hillary in the primary? They didn't even know who he was. I'm just giving you an example of I have a great track record on things that people think at the time is crazy. What my downfall is, I can never tell you, well, who can other than God, the timing of it. And because I see these things, I expect them to happen faster because I'm ahead of where the rest of society is. Like, I've been watching for this for years and years and years, what I'm seeing in the news now. Most people are just watching it and getting this understanding as it's happening. And it takes them a long time to get to the point where I'm way past that. I'm not, oh my gosh, could a nuclear war happen? People are shocked, like thinking, could it happen? I went through that years ago. Could America get blown up? I'm way past that. So that's why I'm thinking this is why I think things happen faster, but I am self-aware. I know that I always think things are going to happen faster because of that. Because I'm ahead of the average person about what's going to happen, I always think it's going to happen faster. So I try to keep myself in check and let you guys know.